All right, everyone. I thought I'd make a video dedicated to my thoughts about Bill Weld. Of course, he was the VP, would be the running mate for Gary Johnson for the Libertarian Party last election. And he swore up and down at the time, I'm never going to leave the Libertarians. I'll never be a Republican again. And he's gone back to the Republican Party. He's done that with the excuse, well, I want to be the never Trump candidate. I want to primary Donald Trump. Bill Weld is very, very smart. I actually strategically I respect him. Like, as far as his beliefs and stuff, he waffles around because he doesn't have any strong beliefs. When you see someone doing this, like the Clintons and Bushes were both famous for this, when you see someone changing their positions rapidly over very short periods of time without any particular aim or purpose or overarching ideological reason, it's because they're being an opportunist. Now, most political opportunists, like you look at the Democratic field, there are people in the Democratic field, and this is why it's packed with socialists right now, that are riding the gravy train of progressive so-called sentiment in order to try to convince people on the left to give them money, because they know that they can do the fundraising and get the $1,000 plate stuff from other people, from business people and so forth, that'll sort of be in on the fact that they're bilking the population. Bill Weld is doing the opposite, which is that never Trump rhetoric has actually stalled out for the most part. If he wanted to ride the mainstream gravy train, of course, he'd say, oh, well, yeah, I believe in populism too, I'm just, not Donald Trump. I think that he specifically, for behavioral reasons or something, he's doing wrong, and he would capture that never Trump vote. He's doing the opposite. He's saying, hey, fuck convention, fuck the mainline Republicans too. I want to be, total outsider and speak for a very small minority. But that very small minority currently has nobody to speak for them. So even if it's only a couple million people in the country that'd be kind of conservative / kind of partisan Republican but don't really like Trump, he can get a lot of money from that now, can't he? And he did this last time. Look, he did a great job as basically the designer of the Libertarian campaign last time. The only problem you had, sorry about that, the only problem that you really had was the fact that Gary Johnson does stupid shit sometimes. Like, he gets high and he forgets where Aleppo is. He did that one interview on the park bench where he relapsed into baby talk, and he thought it was funny at the time, but taken out of context slightly, the clip just made him look like a lunatic. But he did do well. And Bill Weld, I'm sure, cleaned up. How much money do you think extra was raised by having Bill Weld aboard? He was sort of, and he's not really long-term Republican. I think he was a Hillary fan for a while, too. Bill Weld is a fundraising giant. He's really good at the strategy side of politics, fundraising and organizing things. Oh, he'll do well. For himself, I mean. His campaign is dead in the water. He'll be lucky to hit 5% in the state. Ultimately, though, there are always going to be primary challengers within and without party for people like a Trump or something. It doesn't even matter how popular they are. The most popular presidential candidates running for re-election have still faced opponents within their party. There's always somebody who's disgruntled. That's because a political party doesn't represent a broad, singular ideology. It always represents a group of ideologies. In some countries, things fracture. You have 5 or 6 parties that share power. Because of the structure of U.S. politics being as it is, you have a situation where things are more dichotomous, almost trichotomous now. The Libertarians might hit double digits in a bunch of states this time. It is a force to be reckoned with that is rising up within politics. It's not a flash in the pan sort of thing, especially if they get somebody who's more competent than Gary Johnson, or somebody who's more honest than Bill Weld to be their main organizer. Then they can pull off great things, but they've got to sort of look around for that and shop within and without party, so to speak. Get lure hippie grandma Jill Stein aboard to be the running mate this time. She'd be the left libertarian, kind of, sort of. But Bill Weld, I think, will do ultimately very, very well for himself. He'll probably make millions of dollars doing this. He's a great opportunist. He's realized that the way to go is to take people who are demoralized and like they're definitely going to lose, which is people who want to primary Trump. Trump will be the nominee. It's guaranteed. Unless he dies or something like that. He would have to have a stroke and be incapacitated or some catastrophic thing happens, like nuclear war begins. That's the only way that you're going to get Trump not to be the Republican nominee. He knows that. But there are plenty of people who are fundamentally Republican that hate that fact, and they're willing to donate to someone who can vainly promise them to try to unseat him. And then he can get 2 or 3% in most states, and he can walk away with a 7-figure total. So it works out for Bill Weld. Yeah, respect to him for figuring out the thing to do. It's like a lot of people would want to be like more mainline and be like, well, I'm going to out-Trump Trump, haha. He knows not to do that. He knows to take the nostalgic Bush Republicans and try to take their money. Hell, a lot of them are really rich people. They'll give Bill Weld money. They'll probably get it from the Koch brothers and everyone else. No, they'll probably fund Bernie Sanders this time around. It's very funny how people pretend that they're like still libertarians. They left the libertarian movement in the 1980s, dude. And they helped fundamentally design part of its strategic structure, and then they wandered off to go be a mainline neocon Republicans because they're not libertarian, not in the classically liberal sense at least, not on the social side. They just want lower taxes for multinationals, which means that they were Bush Republicans, not Trump Republicans. It's very funny to see. So there's my thoughts on Bill Weld. He's not going to be a serious contender. You won't see too much of him. But another thing is, because the press, the mainstream media hates Trump so much, they're going to focus on Bill Weld, and they're going to harbor all these fantasies about him suddenly unseating him. But this is sort of what they did with like Kasich and some of these people in the last election. When it was already guaranteed Trump would be the nominee, they still talked about, well, a grand coalition of every other candidate combined could unseat Trump. It is possible. So you can see Ted Cruz be the presidential nominee. It was never going to happen. Bill Weld is never going to happen. He's not going to become the president. He's not going to become the nominee. He won't even win a single state. That's a guarantee. That's about all. Peace out.